Okay, everyone, we're doing a review of the 2 GameCube games. I'm going to hand it over to Sketch since he knows everything about this and I do not.
The 2 GameCube fighting games.
Fighting games.
Yes, there's also Pirates Carnival, which I'll talk about some other time.
Which I kind of want to get. He described it as a Mario Party-like game, and I'm a big fan of Mario Party for some reason.
It can be pretty fun. Play it with friends. Don't play it by yourself. It's boring.
Why would you play it by yourself? Okay,
Playing with yourself, huh?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, the first game that came out was a scaled-down version of Grand Battle Rush, which they just called One Piece Grand Battle. It came out on PlayStation and GameCube. And, yeah, I think just those two. And I got the GameCube version. Actually, I didn't get the GameCube version. Rolbus got the GameCube version, and he, lent it to me forever.
That's a good deal right there.
Yeah, he didn't really care for it. And,
this review is not sounding so good so far.
Yeah. It's not a bad fighting game. Like I said, it's Grand Battle Rush with some things taken out of it because they weren't present in the US dub yet.
Ah, that sucks.
Yeah, so no Aokiji, no Foxy. I think those were the 2 that were cut out.
Was that released?
Still a pretty decent cast of characters, though.
When was that released in the United States? Do you know?
When was that released in the US? I want to say 2005.
Oh wow! So 4Kids was still doing it then, I guess.
Yeah, 4Kids was still doing it when this game came out.
Oh, fantastic!
It's got all the 4Kids voices.
Are you serious?
Yes. And to their credit, they voice act better in the games. Probably because they have better directors for the games.
Yeah. Was Usopp still sounding like that and Sanji still sounding like that?
Oh yeah.
Sanji was still all in his Italian.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
No wonder you could do that voice so well.
Oh, why thank you. So, yes, it's a pretty decent fighting game. It's only 2 players, which is kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Especially because it's got kind of a free roaming style that you would think would work for a 4-player game. Right. All the characters are chibi, which turns off some people. It's not really truly chibi, but they're just kind of shorter, cuter versions of all the characters, which works for some, but then it looks absolutely ridiculous when you're playing as Zoro or Mihawk or Shanks.
But not as Chopper or Luffy.
But not as Chopper. No, it works okay with Chopper. It looks kind of funny with Luffy and Usopp, and
But they use those little
it's an acquired taste.
In the shorts they released during those fillers in CP9. You remember those? They used the chibi versions in a bunch of this.
Yeah, these weren't quite the same because the heads weren't really large,
enormously big. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a weird style. I'm not really sure what to classify it as. So you basically go through part of the storyline, going through various fights, and there's little cutscenes, and they're not very interesting. And you have super moves, which are cool. You have to get up to a certain amount of power up to do the super moves.
Right.
And they're nicely animated cinematically, even though once again you still have these silly character designs.
Well, that's good. So would you recommend this game?
If you could find it in the bargain bin, if you can tolerate the 4Kids dub, it's an okay fighting game.
Okay. What was the second game you were going to go with?
The second game didn't come out in Japan. It was made in America, I believe, by the same people that published the first game. And it's kind of a revamp of the same game.
What's
with
it
a
called?
lot more characters. Some characters that weren't even in Grand Battle Rush.
Oh.
And some that were in previous Grand Battle games that didn't come to the US. So you added... you can play as Vivi. You can play as... Eneru. You can play as... Ace, and lots of characters.
Cool.
pretty much all the significant characters up to Skypiea, which was interesting because at the time, even though this was still the 4Kids handling, they got to Skypiea, and Skypiea, obviously, they never got around to dubbing that, so you get to hear what their voices would have been for Skypiea. At least you can assume as much. And Wayne Grayson was an okay Eneru.
Okay.
He's not quite the awesomeness that is J. Michael Tatum.
Yeah, no, he's good. I heard those. Only a bit of it, but
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, he did a
So
good job.
this one is a lot more story based, and you actually end up building a pirate crew, which
Oh,
is an
cool.
interesting element because
Yeah.
you don't have to build a crew with your normal teammates in One Piece. Like you can have crews with Luffy and Buggy in the same crew.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. What was
And
that
there's
game
little
called?
cutscenes in this too, and they're a lot more elaborate than they were in the first game when you actually have some dialogue going on before most fights.
Right. So, would you recommend this? What was the name of it again?
This one was One Piece Grand Adventure.
Okay. Oh, I remember that one. Yeah, but the cover
Yeah,
the cover looked kind of cool, if I recall.
yeah, it was cool. It had Luffy with a pretty awesome pose and
Yeah.
Usopp and the going merry behind him.
Yeah, I remember that. Wasn't that on the
It,
PS2 also?
I believe it was on the PS2 also.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely better than Grand Battle. It has a lot of elements that make it a pretty solid game, especially for a licensed game. You still have the problem that it is the 4Kids dub, and even though they sound a little better, it's still really grating on the ears.
I could imagine. If only you could listen to it
The
in
multiplayer
Japanese.
is a lot better in this one because you have lots more characters to play as. You can even play as Zeph and
Oh wow.
Kuina.
Cool.
Yeah, it's
It
a little
sounds.
odd to play as Kuina.
I assume. Yeah. It sounds pretty cool considering the 4Kids thing. A lot better than the first one, unless you like the chibi kind of thing.
It's
Um.
the same kind of graphics, though.
Oh really? Oh.
Yeah.
Um. How do you think they rack up in comparison to recent games like Unlimited Adventure?
Not as good as Unlimited Adventure
Okay. You have to.
because it's an actual adventure game
You.
as opposed to a fighting game where you kind of adventure.
Yeah. You have to.
Still,
Yeah.
it's certainly worth picking up if you have a PlayStation 2 or a GameCube and you find it on the cheap.
Yeah.
It's a fun game.
Sounds cool. You have to show me how to get through Unlimited Adventure at one point. I'm still stuck. It's so
It's
insanely
tricky.
frustrating. I know. It's good, but I haven't been able to get past like these couple of spots. Um, anyway, is that everything about that?
Yeah, that's all that really needs to be said about those games. They're pretty okay fighting games. Both of them are only 2 player. The one can be 2 players simultaneously in kind of in Grand Adventure you can do 2 player kind of brawling where you have a whole bunch of grunts that you can fight through in kind of an arcade style game, which is a nice addition.
Yeah,
It's not really much.
yeah,
And you also have the kind of mini games for the Foxy fights, and
right.
I think both of them have it, but I know Grand Adventure does have it for sure.
Cool. Okay. With that, let's go into our merchandise segment, which Sketch is also going to be hosting.